Hi all, Kinsey Schofield here, and I am with the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Kyle. Jeremy, we're talking royals today.
We are, but should we point out where we are? Because the wind's
Yes.
blowing and the air's all over the place.
Yeah, okay, but where are we?
We're sort of on the balcony of floor 14 of the news building, and there'll be trains and there'll be planes, but it's okay.
Oh, well, I know, because you're the only hurricane, and I'm excited to have you today. Let's talk about the royal family, and you have such an interesting perspective because you grew up kind of around them. Your father worked for the Queen Mother. If the audience isn't familiar, and they should be because you've talked about it on the show before, tell me a little bit about what your father did for the Queen Mother.
So he actually, it's quite sweet. I think he was. They met, my parents, in Cootes Bank in the Strand. She was very upmarket, and she was a cashier, and he was a runner, rubbish. And she was engaged to be married to a guy who turned out to be the Lord Lieutenant of Scotland. So devastated I am.
Right.
She actually dumped him and went off with the old man, who took her off genuinely within 6 weeks, and they got married with a glass ring and nothing. And I think he got to about 23, 24, and he saw a job advert in the London Standard, and it said, I don't know, administrator at the royal household. And about 18 interviews later, they spent their last few pounds on a new suit, a new shirt, and he got a job as a clerk.
Wow.
So it's a great story. Don't know if I've ever shared this with you about the last interview where he's going to meet the Queen Mother, the late amazing great Queen Mother, and the footman says to him, you're going to go through lots of double doors, and eventually I'll click my fingers, and through the next double doors is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and you need to bow very low, and you start with Your Majesty, and then it's Ma'am, and if she asks you to seat and all that. And he literally, the footman clicked his fingers, the doors open, the Queen Mother's on the sofa, surrounded by corgis. He took 2 steps forward, bowed very, very low, and one of these corgis took off, and I don't want to upset anybody on your channel, started making love to his right knee.
Oh.
So imagine being in front of the Queen Mother for the first time, and that's a true story. And he was more devastated about his new suit.
And he got the job.
He got the job, yeah. 41 years he did.
That's incredible. What would he have thought of the Harry and Meghan saga?
So when he was, involved, and he did so much and went all over the world with her, he would always talk about the mystique of the royal family, how in those days it was an extraordinarily, not secretive, but it was something that was on a pedestal. But he also would educate us all the time about how much that brought to the United Kingdom, not just in terms of, kudos, but also money. And he'd always say, how much the President of the United States is worth. But he believed in it. He believed in the institution. That's how we were brought up. He was very honest when the Charles and Diana stuff kicked off. He both believed that they both used the media for their own ends, and the world changed. You remember Prince Philip did their documentary in Balmoral, or Sandringham, can't remember. How would he think about? We had the discussion about Meghan.
Well,
and I guess my view that I repeat every day that upsets some people is his. He said the ginger one will be back in the United Kingdom in a number of years with his tail between his legs, and she'll be in California with 2 babies, because that's not. I don't think he ever believed that she was genuine. Unlike, of course, Kate, who came from stock that they would never have allowed. You think in the old man's time, you think Princess Margaret wasn't allowed to marry Group Captain Peter Townsend, the love of her life. Prince Andrew, I know we're not allowed to mention him, but he could have married Koo Stark. Maybe his life would have been a different scenario. But that's why I have great belief in William and Kate, because I think she's so grounded. The other one, I can't. No, he wouldn't have given her the time of day. And to be fair, in Clarence's house, both Diana and Fergie spent the last night before they were married and he was there both nights. I mean, that doesn't sound right, does it?
your dad was the one, but not really.
He's the 4th person in the world to see Diana's wedding dress.
Yes, I love that. And do you see similarities between Fergie and Meghan, the way Meghan has tried to monetize the monarchy? I know that Fergie has never been critical, so it's important to stress that Fergie.
I know Fergie.
Oh, that's right, you do.
I think tortured soul, probably young and dumb, and didn't probably have the best advice. I think she's got a good soul and a good heart, genuinely. Prince Philip hated her guts when we were in the same room. You can't get away from thinking that Meghan had a plan. You can't get away from thinking that Meghan, I didn't even know he was a prince.
I never Googled him.
I didn't Google him. I'm doing my terrible Vanessa. I always thought she was a bit of a player. Somebody asked me very early on, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but to me, that was a classic boy, an older woman, a good-looking something whipped. That's what you know, I've said it to you before.
Yeah.
And I genuinely mean that. Fergie, the Johnny Bryan thing, the toe sucking, Prince Harry. Good mum, great granny, just probably been brought back in a bit by King Charles. But I was sort of a bit sorry for her, really, somehow. Naive.
Oh, I think you made a very good point that there seems to have been an ulterior motive with Meghan. Maybe the ultimate objective was always to take off and to monetize her access to the British royal family, where Fergie seemed to marry for love. She was excited about
I
the...
think, in fact, she stayed with him all these years and stood
Yeah,
by him, speaks
yeah.
volumes. And I know there's major problems with him, and there always will be. But I think actually probably King Charles probably likes the fact that he's not, that she's sort of there as a rock to him. But yeah, the other one, as manipulative as you get, in my opinion. The old man wouldn't have given her the time of day.
What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those 2 payments in your pocket and finally getting a little breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. You need to call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. Call before it's too late. 866-887-1201. That's 866-887-1201, or visit americanfinancing.net/unfiltered. This idea of a royal reconciliation and these secret talks, first of all, do you believe Prince Harry's team and Prince Harry when they say that they couldn't leak the idea of these secret talks?
I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust. I mean, you look at the turnover of staff. Somebody was telling me the other day, the numbers of people that leave their employment. I get, and I'll say this in his defense, and I'll criticize him in a minute because he did something the other day that really wound me up. But King Charles is a father. I've said for ages I don't think he's well. Let's not speculate, but I don't think he is. And maybe he wants to make peace with his son. I wouldn't trust him and his wife further than I could throw him. I think probably everybody knows that whatever you say to them is going to be in the papers or online within a heartbeat. And I read a really interesting article this morning, don't know who it was by, which said King Charles might want to do this because he's a father who's getting older. It said that hell will freeze over before Prince William and Kate. I genuinely believe that will never be repaired.
And
Completely get that.
do you agree with the people that argue that as Prince William becomes King William, he's going to be head of the church, and forgiveness and loving, forgiving, and forgetting is an important part of the Bible?
It is. Yeah, no, I agree all of that. I accept that, but I think that he, look, I lived in Windsor, as you know, on the Long Walk for 7 years. I was with the old man for all that time before. William would go to Windsor Castle every Sunday after morning service at Eton, and he was schooled by his granny, schooled from an early age, for her to allow him, this sounds awful, but for her to allow him to marry, in the old days, would have been seen as a commoner. As a massive,
we cannot forget that poor Princess Diana, her uncle was on television before she was married talking about her virginity. I mean, it was such a, way back when,
massive
somebody checked to confirm whether or not you were a virgin. We have evolved in such a positive way. And Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is a great example of that.
Extraordinary example.
Meghan set us back a little bit.
But you know, sounds awful, but we've done this before. Her kids go to the same school that mine did for years. And so when they came to Lambrook, I would say that William is absolutely focused on being king with the woman that he adores. They've been through some terrible times. The kids are sweet. I can't sit head of church or not. I can't ever see him trusting her enough to believe that him and Harry and Meghan, that he would ever let them in. I get Charles though, but it is extraordinary that everything. I'm old school, aren't I, about the royal family, and some people criticize me, and that's fine. But you know, a duchess was not selling jam and rubbish. He said the wrong word, and it just wasn't. That wasn't what you did. So you have to say, is there an ulterior motive? Because I guess most girls would marry their prince and think that's amazing, not her.
Right. Just me. I'm here to be the trophy wife. Like I would marry a prince, and I think I would be excited about the role of going to elementary schools and loving on small children and being an inspiration and being a leader in the way that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is.
You only have to be somewhere where she walks into a room, and the feeling amongst everybody, and I mean, we were talking about some time ago, you and I privately, about when the Queen passed, right? Every day of my life, the Queen was in my life. So from when I was born, and I'm 60 now, I know I look it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Camilla.
He's a beautiful young man.
Very, very depressed about being 60. She was in my life the whole time, right? She was like the nation's grandmother. I think that Kate has that attraction, that pull, that inspiration with the United Kingdom. That's
and the United States,
right.
And the United States.
But I think people would look at Meghan and go, if that's what the monarchy's about, you and Harry,
no thanks.
That causes more Republican argument than anything, in my opinion.
There's a stability to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, too, a comfort that the Queen had, and I don't think that that's something you can learn. I think you have it or you don't have it.
I think she's just incredibly. I think she.
Well, she's gorgeous.
But she's breakthrough, and she patently does the right thing, says, does, speaks, dresses. The kids are amazing. I just, but also quite normal. You feel, don't you? I mean, I do. I don't know what people watching this do, but I just feel when Meghan is all affected, there's a reason behind everything that she does. There's always a timing issue. There's always, somebody else has got something, so we're going to release this. And I can't honestly, if I'm honest, think a duchess is standing in somebody else's kitchen, and we laugh about it now. That appalling, let's lay out some fruit for breakfast. Like anybody's got bleeding time at 8 o'clock in the morning with kids running everywhere like me to lay out a platter of fruit.
Between runny noses and dirty socks and
dirty diapers,
the idea the idea that she's got all this time to
she probably doesn't see her kids. I mean,
well, I've had people reach out to me that have worked for Harry and Meghan, and so when we talk about these numbers, 25 people that have left since they stepped back, I've heard domestically that the number's much higher because they burn through staff inside the home. It's my opinion that if anybody's making rainbow platters, it's not Meghan Markle.
How would you describe her?
Vicious, bitter, mean. I think a lot of what we've seen over the last few years is jealousy towards Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and I know it's a poor reflection on me to say that I would be disappointed in the royal family if they allowed Harry and Meghan back in the fold. I would really, that would be a kick to me.
So without making this about anything else, the other day when Macron visited, our king, who's supposed to be a constitutional monarch, said, we haven't got any borders. And I'm telling you, the millions of people in the United Kingdom went, hold on a minute.
Yeah,
a minute.
Right.
Whatever your political persuasion, yes, we have it. You're the king of a kingdom. But there's no borders, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he probably, and I've always defended him and said that if you spend your entire life waiting for what is your destiny, and that's only achievable by your mother dying, if you open your mouth, you're interfering. If you say nothing, what's the point to? It's been difficult. And I think he's done great things. But as I said at the beginning, I get as a father, but I think he'd be doing the country a disservice. Listen, I think they should have been stripped. I don't understand how they are allowed to ridicule, monetize, and benefit off something that they spend their entire life slagging off. If you don't want to be in the game, fine, but don't go outside the team and then spend your time making money by talking about the team. If you don't want to be in the team, go. I said that when they went to America. Good luck to them, fair play. But when you land and you take that Spotify deal, or you talk about his intrusion, then at every single I mean, look at her recently. On Instagram, pictures of her kids. I thought she didn't want her kids in the limelight.
Right.
I think she's as manipulative as they come, and I guess there will be people watching this who'll go, "No, it's only right and fair." What about what Harry and Meghan did to the royal family? How they hurt them, the things that were said, that ridiculous Oprah Winfrey. I mean, awful.
Right, and in the past, the reason why I do think that the Sussexes potentially, allegedly, could have leaked the idea of this royal reunion summit, secret summit, is because of their past history. You know, look at the
It's a
Netflix
dangerous game,
series.
though, isn't it? Because if they did, and the king will know it's not him, if that's the case, that's the end of the road, isn't it?
But is it all just a PR stunt? Is it all just a desperate attempt to improve their popularity because they're tired of being the
They
villains?
can't. I swear. Tell me if I'm wrong. Could she in this country ever become popular? No. I would suspect that she would struggle to come back to this country.
Do you think she'll come back for Invictus 2027 when it's here?
Maybe. I don't know. I think she'd be surprised by the reception she gets. But I think also he's an interesting one because he was always sort of, he was viewed as the kid that, was in the army, was a bit of a loose cannon, lost his mum, great sympathy. But I don't know whether he is whipped or he's stupid. I'm being serious now because he seems to follow her lead in almost anything. And I think she's led him down a path of
Destruction?
social destruction. But I can't imagine he must know that, mustn't he?
Well, he's got to be looking at polling numbers, and every once in a while, I know that this is really probably mean-spirited to say, but I'm exhausted with his obsession with his mother. Even walking the landmines again this week, telling us that Meghan is Princess Diana 2.0.
Sorry?
Yes, he says that Meghan is the new Diana.
Yeah, no, she's not. Back cases. And I guess I think that's where my point about William's quite relevant because I think he's fiercely loyal to a woman that he stuck his neck on the line about getting married to.
Well, we have to be honest. Harry's being fiercely loyal too, but he's being fiercely loyal to somebody who's making his life a living hell.
He's being fiercely loyal.
And doesn't have.
It doesn't understand loyalty in my humble.
And doesn't have, yes, look at her father, and doesn't have his best interest at heart because his best interest would not be to alienate him from his family
And friends.
and friends.
Life and almost everything that he's ever done. And I think that's really important. And I think it's sad, and some people will say, oh, but you make your bed, you lie in it. And I can't have her. And I'm sorry, some people say won't like that, but I can't have her. They have people say, oh, it's so unfair. The way that Meghan's treated. Well, you get treated in life how you treat other people, don't you?
Yeah, based on the reports we hear.
You've cajoled and you've manipulated and you've upset, and there can't be. I mean, some people will say the media's anti-Meghan Markle. But there's a plethora of examples of how she's done the dirty, and I think people's resentment builds. That's what I'd say. But no, going back to your question, the old man wouldn't have. He'd have said NOCD, not our class, darling.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's savage.
Not our class. That's what he just said. Not our class.
I'm stealing it.
As lamb. Let's have another tune.
I'm stealing it. What would his advice be about the royal reunion? Do you think he would say that for appearances, the king specifically?
I think he'd probably say what I said, chickens. I think he'd probably say that as a father he'd understand it.
Yes, but otherwise he would be frustrated with them.
Yeah. My dad was not estranged, but he didn't have the best relationship with his eldest son, my brother, and he was quite strong before he died on that score. So I think he'd understand. But I think let's say the older generation, which gets laughed at, have values and morality, I think, about things, and he believed in the institution. He saw flaws with it, but some of the stories that he would tell me are extraordinary now. You couldn't even tell them.
Right. Well, you should. Right now, you should tell them.
What do you want a story about? I've got that. Anything you want. Amazing.
Wait, you told me one time about an orgy on a boat.
Robert Jobson wants me to write the book one day.
And an orgy on a boat. And I feel like this is the time that you should tell me about the employee orgy on the boat.
I can't tell you that. Tell you a great story.
Okay, is it
swear words? So have I told you the one about when Dallas was on?
I don't think so.
Brilliant. I picture the scene. This is in the 80s, so the world has changed. So if anybody's offended, don't be. So footmen would serve on a Saturday a late supper to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and the greatest of them was Ruth Lady Fermoy, who was a lady in waiting. She was in her 90s. So they'd be sat, imagine them sat in front of a big colour television in Clarence House before Charles moved in, and about 50 yards behind in the drawing room would be screens, and behind would be the footmen. And when the bell was rung and the trumpeter thing was in, they'd walk forward, look at the man's face, it's brilliant. And they bring a drink, Dubonnet and soda, very small, and they do all that. Anyway, so they're watching the episode. How do I put this politically correct? Whereby Stephen comes out to Blake Carrington as gay.
Okay.
Now, it just so happened that the two footmen behind the screen are gay.
Yeah.
So they're doing whatever with the lasagna. And Stephen goes, "Oh, Daddy, that's not very good Americans. I've got to tell you, I need to come out of the closet." Now imagine an ear trumpet on Ruth Lady Fermoy, who says to the Queen Mother, "Why has he come out of the closet, dear? What does that mean?" And she said, "Well, I think he's been hiding in the wardrobe." Whereupon the two footmen, who know patently what it means, are on the floor laughing. Great story. There's so many like that.
Very cute.
Great stories.
I really was hoping for the orgy story, but that is a good.
The orgy. It's not really an orgy story, but I think that the captain of the Queen's barge on the Royal Yacht Britannia, they discovered that several of the sailors and other people had been having a nice time whilst the royal family went on the Royal Yacht Britannia.
Oh my gosh.
Have you been on the Royal Yacht Britannia?
No, but can you imagine the audacity? I would never. I'd be so afraid. Look at your.
Afraid of what?
I would be
Caught.
afraid of being caught. Yes.
So Kinsey Schofield has admitted on her own YouTube channel that she would not want to be having a physical contact in the Queen's chambers on the Royal Yacht Britannia.
I wouldn't.
Oh, I've told you this. I've told you, after the Queen Mother sadly died, he took us on a final tour of Clarence House. I was asked you about the DVDs. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So have I done this before?
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Bedroom. It's really sweet. 2 dog baskets, pictures of her late husband, and 10 DVDs. Look at the camera. It's 11 DVDs. We use a Blu-ray.
Google it. Google it.
It's not a perverted uncle. Blu-ray. And honestly, 10 videos. What was her favourite program, and what were they of?
No, I don't know. Dallas?
Blackadder.
Blackadder. That's right.
Always
That's right.
Blackadder with Rowan Atkinson or Yes Minister. But yeah, look, he was there 40 years, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He was there 40 years. He told some extraordinary stories about her.
What you have talked about his frustration with Charles and Diana and how they were.
I think he saw it change her, right?
Yeah.
He saw.
Well, did he feel like? Did he feel like they did love each other at one point? Did you get the sense that they did? Obviously, I would love to think that they did, but I think the reality.
He answered that by going, "Well, look, there were plenty of them who stayed in relationships for." He used to say to me, "The problem with somebody three times married, the problem with your generation is first time any trouble, you bugger off with somebody else. We had to get our nut down and get on with it. That's the way it was."
Get our knockdown.
Nuts down.
Oh.
Down.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. But it was a different generation. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that there were, he had great respect for Prince Philip. In fact, he almost once, he was offered a job with Prince Philip years and years ago, and he nearly left the Queen Mother for it because I think he really admired the old codger. But he said it how it was, but was absolutely steadfastly loyal and spent 50 years 3 feet behind a wife that he loved, who he knew was the Queen. And I think there's one word that the old man always used, which was duty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more the monarchy became, I don't know whether it had to justify itself or try and become more relevant. When the mystique went, which it had to, I think he saw people using it to their own advantage or to try and score points. I mean, it's fair to say that Charles and Diana both used the press, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did.
That great picture of Diana in her biker shorts and oversized sweatshirt jumping in or out of Richard Kay from the Daily Mail's car. I think that's also why I believe that Harry and Meghan accused the palace of leaking, but I think that they do a lot of leaking themselves, because I sometimes think that they think they're playing off of Princess Diana's playbook without looking at the consequences of her actions, which were very detrimental to the point of her losing her life ultimately, because she was trying to do things her way. I mean, obviously, Martin Bashir lied to her to secure that interview, and she dismissed her security, but she was a rebel.
Tortured soul, though.
Yeah.
Tortured soul. And again, I think the enormity, this is where, I think when it started with Meghan Markle, because of what he told me about Fergie and Di, I probably had a degree of sympathy for about a week.
Yeah.
But then, because coming into that, how on earth, in the name of the Lord, do you deal with that?
But
Look what
do you
Kate has done. Look at how that girl who is not
terrorized
stop.
during cancer.
My God, mate, I had so many arguments on air. You know, I did.
Mm-hmm.
She's got, leave her alone. I've
Mm-hmm.
had cancer. Get lost.
Right.
Leave her, and she's trying to bring up three kids, and you're at her. Why didn't you go to Wimbledon? Why didn't you do one?
Yeah.
Just honestly, do you understand the impact psychologically of having cancer? It doesn't go the minute the guy says, oh, or the lady says it's clear. The impact psychologically goes on for years.
Well, and you were saying
Shoulder.
too, physically, you were saying you have a hard time
Knackered.
jumping back in the game.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because you're looking over your shoulder, the chemo has dragged every bit of goodness out of your body, and it probably takes a year to 18 months for that to recycle itself. I think he would have, he loved Kate, and I think he was craving Kate marrying William, because I think he really felt that she was, because he believed in the institution, he felt that she could save it, you know?
Do you think she has?
Yeah, but I don't think letting those two back in it will not be an option with her husband. I'm convinced that Harry's cooked his goose with his brother. I understand of his father. Again, like I said, people don't like to admit it. Some days I think he looks really ill. Is he clear of the cancer? I don't think anything's been said on that.
The palace has said that our sources close to him have said that he's going to live with this cancer.
Okay.
You know,
Good.
and what was your reaction when Prince Harry went on the BBC and said he didn't know how much longer his father had to live? Is that just stupidity, or is that?
See, I think that's manipulative. I think that's him trying to use a horrible situation. I don't know how long he's got. What does that tell you? That says, I need a reconciliation. I've been cast aside. No, you did it yourself. You did it yourself. All we hear is you moaning and bitching about how apparently you're not in the loop of responsibility and trust, and you're the last to know, and you were the last to know with your grandmother, but you walked away from these people and slagged this very institution off. You don't deserve the titles, in my opinion, and most of all, you don't deserve to be in the loop with people who don't trust you, because you've lied so often. You and your wife have let out everything that's ever been told to you to the press, and we know that.
Right, and more, and some that wasn't, quite the truth. I hope I'm not overstepping by saying this, because I've heard that Thomas, Meghan's father, is actually quite ill right now, and has had another issue. He's having a harder time communicating. So it is really hard to try to process the fact that Harry and Meghan's ultimate objective in any sort of royal reunion is due to the king's health. Okay, well, Thomas is much more ill than he has been.
Everything they do is about them.
Yes, and
I think the balance would be, you got to go and try and see your dad before he dies, but not your father, because he's not a kid. He's just a man who, and a lot of people were appalled with what he did, but I think he again was circled by the media.
Right.
Didn't understand it. Was really, really upset about his daughter.
And you and I've been in this situation before. Somebody approached him and said, "I'm going to help you elevate your brand. We're gonna clean up your image. We're going to take a couple of pictures of you that are positive, uplifting." And he was embarrassed that the last 20 shots of him were walking out of a liquor store with a six-pack, and he said, "Sure, I'll open up a British tour book, or you can take a picture of me getting fit for a tux or whatever. I can't remember, a nice suit." I don't think there was anything malicious about those images. Isn't that devastating that would be why Meghan would cut off her father? Because he wanted to make her proud.
Yeah, but you see, I think that she is your archetypal narcissist.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I don't know, have you ever read what a narcissist is?
Mm-hmm.
Have you read there's 15 points.
Traits, yeah.
And if you have 5, the NHS in England, if you can see a doctor, which is highly unlikely, will actually say to you that you show those traits. And it's about fantasy, and it's about you blame everybody else, and it's all about you, and it's all about you trying to manipulate people and situations for your own ends. And I would say that's their problem. Their problem is that most people would say, hold on a minute, this isn't right. It's all about you. Sorry, can't have them. Don't want them back here. Don't want them back in the fold.
I would be really disappointed.
My king at all. I understand if he wants to make good with his son, he can do it privately. I wouldn't be doing it publicly, because they will make they'll make absolutely everything out of it. But I can't imagine when William becomes king that they will be given the time of day.
Oh, we can only hope. Not to take this to a dark place, but you did mention the king's speech, and when Macron was here, and I was watching your coverage of that, and you had a lot of really angry viewers call in.
If you listen, we're not trying to make it political. He is the king of a kingdom. The kingdom is an island that has borders. If you're trying to tell me by cozying up to the French that a constitutional monarch is not supposed to get involved politically, says, and I quote, "There are no borders between us," then you're talking about open borders. There's no need for a kingdom. You're on dodgy ground. The Queen, this is another thing, and I said it the other day on air. Told you about, like, she was our grandmother, wasn't she? She never once, you couldn't have told in a million years what her politics was. She never heard her say things like that.
Right.
That was a mistake. But listen, he's allowed a mistake. And I'm certainly not going to tell him whether he should elevate whatever he wants with his son. But I tell him to watch his back, because I don't think his son and his daughter-in-law are interested in anything other than themselves. I really believe that. Look at the Lillibut thing. That's disgusting.
Oh my gosh, it's so disgusting.
That's disgusting.
They steal this name from this woman who we're learning, thanks to Sally Vidal Smith and Lady Elizabeth, that the Queen was devastated over the way that they treated the family towards the end of her life. I certainly don't think she gave them a glowing endorsement.
No.
If they did call like they claim.
Seeing that freeze frame picture of when she's looking at her at some do,
yeah,
and you think, cool, she knows.
we
used to call it soup look. My mother, soup look. I don't know why it was called soup look, but no, I think that you have to watch almost everything they do with a degree of trepidation, and I think you have to hold back. And I hope he doesn't. Actually, genuinely, as a father of 28 kids or whatever it is I got, I don't want him hurt. I could see him put in I can see him the olive branch being extended by the king and it being abused again, and I don't think he needs that.
You said that this was a mistake by King Charles, and he can have these moments. I agree with you. How many moments like this can he have? And also
in politics. Don't get involved in politics.
But also, can I ask you a question? Do we believe that the process is that Keir Starmer approves or suggests the message and the king delivers it? And if so, is that on his team for not pushing back a little bit on this?
That's really interesting, actually, because that's exactly such a great question. God, no wonder you wear your own channel. Number 10 is always supposed to advise the monarch on contents of speech. Now, to me, that looked entirely what Starmer wanted to say.
Right.
I would never have heard the Queen would not have made that speech. The only time she ever talked about a government was in state opening of Parliament. She lists the bills. That's what happens. You have to do, right? What's going to happen in this Parliament? You're right. Either he or his team didn't kick back, because you would never have heard her say, "We don't have any." I don't mind doing that impression. "We don't have any borders," which now, in fact, you wouldn't have heard it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. So I think he has to be very careful, because there is still in this country, which I know you and I loathe, but there is still a number of people, millions, who believe that the monarchy has had its day and needs to change and blah, 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 and they've all got big palaces. I was ingrained with a different theory. The civil list is a list of money that's given to every member of the royal family at different grades. That happened many, many, many years ago, because lands of the monarchy and they go back to the government, and that civil list was in return. I can tell you that the Queen Mother in the last 3 years of her life, and some people will go, really, did not have enough income to cover her costs.
Oh, wow.
Fact.
Yeah.
Fact. But you're not going to get sympathy from people right now in this country or across the world. I just worry that in trying to be relevant in terms of modernizing and lowering numbers and all this that Charles is hell-bent on doing, I get that, but you want to be very careful that you don't trade what the monarchy is, what it means, and those two.
Yeah, you're changing
I want him in my monarchy. Sorry, I don't want her in my monarchy.
You're almost changing the definition of it, and it jeopardizes.
I understand you got to move it, right? Because of the people that will go, "Oh, we should have a republic." Well, the answer is, as I said at the beginning, do you know how much the President of the United States of America cost the American people?
I should, because that's the way.
Billions.
Yeah.
Do you know how much the royal family bring into the United Kingdom?
Billions.
Billions. And I get the people that will go, "Oh, look at them in their carriages and their castles," but you have to look beyond that. To me, if I was anywhere near Charles, I'd be saying, I get as a dad you want to be reconciled with the ginger one, but I think you want to watch your back, sir.
Yeah, he has to be incredibly careful. If he does, it has to be all behind the scenes. We shouldn't see them at events.
I tell you who I believe, I probably fell into the trap years and years ago. The greatest transformation, the best influence on Charles is his wife,
Yeah.
who I, not even begrudgingly, have huge respect for. Let's call it a love story that wasn't allowed to happen. Let's all of that, right? But she has the most brilliant effect on Charles.
She does.
That's why Harry targeted her, because I don't think she wants him to have that BS in his life.
Yeah, she's trying to, well, I mean, he's ill right now, so why would he want the additional stress? But he was so hateful and cruel about her, and I talked to Joan Rivers' daughter, Melissa Rivers, a few weeks ago, so I did a lot of research on Joan. And Joan was on Larry King shortly after the wedding, talking about how thrilled the boys were. And I love to go back and read what was being said at the time, because I think, I think that you can reinvent history, and that's something that Harry and Meghan have become level experts at. But at the time, Joan Rivers was on Larry King Live talking about how it was so fun to watch the boys decorate the car, and how gleeful they were and how happy they were for their father. I know that they missed their mother, and I know that they were devastated that they lost her. But the idea that Prince Harry thought that he includes William, I don't necessarily know if that's true, but he could manipulate his father or change his father's mind into marrying Queen Camilla. It legitimized this love story, and they needed to do that for him to be king.
It wasn't great, and let's be honest, I understand the people that will go, hold on a minute, here's one for you. On the Royal Yacht Britannia, the night of the wedding, he opens the drawer to put his cufflinks away. She finds a note from Camilla, right? You'd buy that. I've heard that story for 40 years.
Yes, right? Yeah.
She wasn't, and I know you're her biggest fan, like all of us. She had a wrong side as well, Diana. Let's get back.
Hi, James Hewitt.
No, but it's no. Yeah. All right, Harry. But what I'm saying is that's why I started by saying the old man would have said that there was right and wrong on both sides. Why I respect Camilla is people can fall in love and it can go wrong and things happen and whatever. And I would understand the boys go, she was no. Your parents, it didn't work. They were both flawed. There were problems. But as you say, he's one of those people. He's a chameleon, isn't he? All right, at that moment, then he changes. And you keep coming back to, if you go back, as you said, if you go back, you keep getting to the point where you think, it's her. It's her. Whether he was, we made this big thing about, I'm the spare, my son. If I was the king's brother, I'd have an absolute bloody ball.
I know.
What would you have to do anything? You'd
to
Royal Ascot and
make out with pretty girls all the time.
I'm a prince.
Living your best life.
Where did that come from? I mean, I made you. But you know what I mean? Yeah. Stop whinging. Listen, in an ideal world, and without upsetting anybody, would a ginger bearded bloke who's going bald at 5'8" with not many skills, would he have the chance? No, see my mate behind the camera. He wouldn't be as lucky with the women, would he? I'd be milking it, man.
Absolutely.
Nothing against gingers at all.
So, I mean, translation, JK is saying that Meghan is the problem, is the instigator, which I think we all agree with. No, I think that Queen Camilla has been such a blessing, especially.
She's earned people's respect, Kins. I think that has taken time.
What I meant to say is, you talk about this transformation PR wise. The king says it's not true, but there were stories at the time. People were like throwing things at her in a grocery store, allegedly. She overcomes this negativity through hard work, duty, the word you used earlier, and by not talking smack
done a lot
about the royal family.
Done a lot with domestic violence against women.
Puppies.
Did a lot with Chris Evans, who of course is on Virgin now, but when he was at BBC Radio 2 with the book club for kids and people writing books. And I think has steadfastly, slowly and organically gained people's respect and love through that duty. And that word you could not. I'd love to give Camilla 2 gin and tonics and ask her what she thinks about Meghan Markle.
Oh my! I was with Princess Anne last night.
Were you?
Yes.
Princess Anne.
Yes, and I wanted to give her 2 gin and tonics and say.
I was at Cheltenham. This sounds awful, with Zara, who I know really, really well.
Oh, she's so great.
Zara for 20 years, right? Yeah.
Tell her I love her. She has no idea who I am, but tell her I love her.
She's cool.
Whenever
cool.
I plan my trips here, totally unnecessary information. I apologize, but whenever I plan my trips to see you,
When you come here.
shut up. Whenever I plan my trips to see you, I grab pictures of Zara and I try to recreate her outfits, like her color schemes, and I could show. I have little maps.
They're amazing, those two.
Oh.
I've known Mike for years. They're amazing.
They're so much fun.
Honestly, the kids are fantastic, and they're just normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the William and Kate.
Why could Harry and Meghan not recreate that template of fun podcasts that?
Seriously, do ask her, Zara, after a couple of gins, what she makes it.
Please do, and DM me. We've got to
I
talk.
don't know what that means.
Direct message.
Oh.
That we've got to talk.
I just text you.
Yes, that
Is
too.
that the same thing?
Yes.
WhatsApp.
Yeah. WhatsApp me.
Facebook thing.
But yeah, that is
Zara's good.
that is the template that Harry and Meghan could have totally recreated.
But when you look at that, when you look at a sort of sensible, common sense approach, you'd go, you haven't got that, because actually, it isn't about the wider picture. I mean, listen, Mike and Zara have been together a long time. There's been stuff written about them, but they're about their kids and duty and Princess Anne and doing the right thing. And
Family.
Yeah, values, morality, virtues, the things that, I mean, I just, you can't get away from thinking that Meghan Markle is about her. Not about her kids, not about her husband, not about her family, not about the monarchy, not about anybody. I mean, was reading months ago that, she fancies the idea of being president of the United States.
Oh yeah, we dealt with that there was a couple of years.
I didn't think Donald Trump would ever be president, so that.
Well, she met with Governor Gavin Newsom of the state of California. Yeah, Newsom, and
by the way, can I know this is completely irrelevant to you? You live in LA. What's the name of that mayor?
Karen Bass.
She's not very good on camera.
Oh.
You get a chance. Tell her it doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
She looks like somebody has literally just told her the worst joke in there. She's not a very happy woman, is she?
Yeah, she looks like she's that there an unpleasant smells coming from the next room. Absolutely. Well, we're getting wrapped, but guess what? I get to spend. We're having multiple shows together today. We're done. They're telling me to stop. They waved at me, but guess what? We get to hang out on Mike's show,
yes.
Flank of the Week, and I'm going to be on your show. So if somebody loves,
and then we're going out for the evening. If
somebody loves this combo, this friendship group, you just search Kinsey Schofield, Jeremy Kyle on YouTube, and you can find more videos.
We made it. Do you want to tell them before you go what we made it on?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Made it on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, this is.
Tell them why?
No. Agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And eat the Cadbury eggs. Just put the whole thing in your mouth. That's the problem.
Bye, guys.